What is happening, everybody? You're listening to The Introverted Nerd Watches. I am your host, Reese, and I'm back for more of The Gifted, y'all. And on this episode, I watched Season 2, Episode 4, Outmatched. And the Underground is sort of outmatched this week. Oh, we got more bad Strucker decisions, more bad everybody decisions. Why, people? Before I get into all of the nitty gritty, let me tell you that you need to subscribe to the podcast. I do this, 3 times a week at least, for The Gifted. Saved by the Bell is my throwback episode, and Black Lightning. So go to Apple Podcasts if you have an iOS device. Subscribe, rate and review the podcast for me, because that is just, the polite thing to do. And if you're like me and you're an Android chick, go to Google Play or Stitcher, Castbox. You have a whole ton of choices are available to you on Android. So go to all those places, subscribe, rate and review the podcast in those places too. Recommend me to all of your friends. I'm still on my Pinky and the Brain Take Over the World thing, so I'm looking for my Pinky. Anybody want to volunteer to be my Pinky? I'm taking applications. This is a whole thing I got planned out. I have a whole plan to take over the world via podcast. It's a lazy takeover of the world. I never have to leave my house. I never have to talk to other people. It's a whole thing. Yeah, I got good ideas. So introverts, unite with me in my plan to take over the world. I gotta watch some Pinky and the Brain. Pinky and the Brain is on Hulu. I think it's still on Hulu. I hope it's still on Hulu. I want to watch that because it's been a while since I've seen it. But I was watching. Okay, this is major tangent. This is I was watching on YouTube. I fell into this hole of watching the theme songs for television shows, and Pinky and the Brain. The theme song to Pinky and the Brain is still damn good. Like, that thing is great. You want to know what else is great too? The theme to my God, what is the TV show? It's the TV show that Jason Bateman was in when he was like a teenager. It's called Hogan Family. Yeah. Roberta Flack sings that song, sings the theme song. Go do yourself a favor, watch that thing, and come back and tell me how right I am about that song, because that song is a bop. Okay. Tangent over. Move on to The Gifted. So actually, this was more like this was another sort of moving pieces into place kind of episode. I feel like next episode is where we're going to get like the real deal. We're going to find out plans. We're going to find out like what's really going on. I didn't hate this episode, and it wasn't even a slow episode. I mean, you find out some things about some people here. If you didn't think very highly of the Struckers, like I don't, then you see, I mean, Caitlin does herself zero favors in this episode. And they try to soften that in the beginning, but nope. Caitlin is on some wild shit, Caitlin Strucker, and Reed is out here. You start the episode with Reed thinking he's going to make some good decisions, thinking that, his head is on straight. He's figured some things out. And then he makes a very Reed decision. And even Lauren, the Struckers have they've contaminated Lauren, because even Lauren was making some like questionable decisions in this episode. And I'm like, girl, no, you're better than them. That's what I was really saying while I was watching this episode. I was like, oh, Lauren, no, you're better than them. You're better than than the others. You're the smart one. We need you to be oh, we need you making all the good decisions over here because you know your parents ain't shit. So let's start at the beginning because we get a flashback. I wonder if this is going to be a thing from now on. They've done it in the last 2 episodes with Marcos, and the last episode with his father, and in this episode, we get a bit more explanation, or just the explanation for why Caitlin is so hell-bent on saving Andy, as if, being his mother wasn't reason enough. We get we flash back, to when she's 5 months pregnant, and she's at the doctor, and the doctor is telling her that she should terminate the pregnancy because she's having all sorts of health problems. Apparently her liver is failing. So shit is like really bad. And the doctor tells her, like, you can carry this baby to term, but you could die, the baby could die, or both of you could die. So, make a decision about what you want to do. And for Reed, you can tell as soon as they walk out of that doctor's office, Reed is like, I'm so sad that we have to get rid of this baby, but and Caitlin is like, excuse me? No, there will be no terminating pregnancies around these parts. I'm carrying this baby to term, and it's going to be whatever it is. I'm going to carry this baby to term. And Reed, just like any parent, is like worried, like, what about Lauren? And Caitlin is just, even then, it's sort of like she doesn't even consider it. Like, I don't think she considers dying. Or maybe she does and she just doesn't care, as long as, she carries baby Andy to term, who would end up being baby Andy. I wonder if she's regretting that decision now. But anyway, she just tells him, the decision's been made. I'm going to carry this baby. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that we don't get Reed trying to like mansplain to her about how she, needs to do this. She needs to think about Lauren. It would have been, it's fine if he, or more that I'm glad that he didn't tell her, I forbid this. You have to, terminate this pregnancy. I need you. Lauren needs you, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't a whole lot of pressure put onto her to make the decision he wanted her to make. It was her body, her decision. So I really, I appreciated that's the way they showed it, because Reed is, Reed is not, Reed doesn't have a very good reputation in these parts either. So, I was waiting for him to say, like, to yell at her or to call her, a bad mother. She's going to put her daughter in danger, blah, blah, blah. I was waiting for that from him. So, yeah. Or maybe maybe I shouldn't have been expecting that. Maybe I just think way too low of Reed. I have way too low an opinion of Reed. I just always expect him to do the wrong thing. So whatever. So we get into present day, and Marcos comes back, and it's basically the group being smart, discussing what they're going to do next. He tells them about Reva, how Reva fucked him up and how how strong she is. And he tells Caitlin that Andy was there and Andy wanted to be there. He's trying to tell her, well, not even, he's flat out telling her, Andy is on their side, because Caitlin does it again where she tries to she reverts back to saying that Andy was kidnapped. Look what they made her son do. And it's like, no, girl, how many times and how many ways do you have to be told that Andy is doing what he wants to do? And no matter how conflicted he is about it, he's still moving forward with these decisions. I mean, of course, he's a teenager and you have to make concessions for that. But Andy wants to be doing this, no matter how scared he might be, and no matter how often. I mean, anybody would be scared of Reva, right? So I completely understand it, but he still wants to be there. He wants to fight back. He believes in Reva's vision right now. Now, once again, he is a teenager, so he's 15 years old. So he's easily manipulated and influenced at this point, probably, or not even probably. Andy is so easily influenced. So I always want to give Andy the benefit of the doubt, because I know what it's like to be a teenager, and especially when you're in his situation where his parents did him zero favors. They sheltered him, and then they sheltered him and babied him, and then he was getting bullied in school. So he had just a ton of problems before everything exploded on them. So I get it, but he's doing the wrong thing. So they talk about it, and they decide that they're all going to not all of them, but that Marcos, John, and Clarice are going to go back to see Wired, the hacker, and to try to get him to give them more information about what the underground is up to. So that is all decided. Clarice is not into it. It should be, I should point that out. Clarice is like, this is a bad idea. But Clarice is, I love Clarice. She's just so great to, she's so funny, just like low key, like really funny in the background, always willing to tell everybody that they're being a fucking idiot. So, I love her, and I love her purple hair in this episode. I don't know why. She's always had purple hair, but in this episode, I was just like, really, she looks really pretty. Her hair and her eyes and all that, just really pretty in this episode. So, Clarice, go girl. So what else is going on? Oh, the Struckers actually talk as a family unit, the three of them. They talk to Lauren, and they finally tell her, Caitlin, it seemed like the beginning of this episode, it seemed like, things are going good. People are starting to realize that they made mistakes. So, Caitlin, tells Lauren, like, she apologizes to Lauren, telling her that she's sorry for not talking to her about bringing Andy home. She's sorry that she's been so singularly focused on Andy that she hasn't paid attention to Lauren. And, they say all the right things. They tell Lauren that she doesn't have to be, she doesn't have to deal with all of this stuff on her own. They say all the right things, and I was ready to give them credit for that. But I'm glad I held off, because even Reed tells Lauren that he and Caitlin talked about it, and he's going to talk to John about his powers, how his powers have manifested, and how, he's going to ask John for help. So I'm like, yes, these are adults behaving like adults, making rational decisions based on the information that they have. This is great. These are some people that I can get behind. But that doesn't last long. So they decide Clarice, John, and Marcos go to Wired's office, and turns out Wired is dead. The Cuckoos made him kill himself. They made him put a gun in his mouth and blow his head off. So that's terrible. And his brother Graf is there, and his brother Graf is he's just on another level, because he comes out shooting. He shoots John in the chest, like point blank, like what, 2 or 3 times, something like that. But they end up kidnapping him, and taking him back to their place. And they tie him up to a chair, or they chain him to a chair, and they start interrogating him about, what happened to Wired, just about everything that happened. And he's just rightfully like, fuck you guys, I'm not into this shit. Caitlyn is trying to get him to she's trying to be sentimental with him and trying to get him to like feel bad, like, you know, help me find my son, they have my son, they took my son from me. And he's like, lady, my brother's dead, like, fuck you guys, like, you're the reason my brother is dead. Like, fucking around with you is the reason my brother is, you know, not here anymore. Like, fuck that shit, I'm not getting involved with this. And Caitlyn acts like surprised that Andy is not everyone else's first priority. And it's just so like bizarre to me. And I guess she thinks like, I'm talking to you as a mother and I'm pleading with you as a mother to help me find my son. And I get it. He's her first priority. He's not anybody else's first priority. Like, nobody else is like obligated to risk themselves for Andy, especially when he seems like such a lost cause. I mean, Graf doesn't know that at this point, but everybody else in the underground seems to realize that Andy ain't that great right now. Like, he doesn't want to come home. Except Lauren. I'll get to Lauren in a second. Continue with Graf. They want Graf basically has like, I get the same or very similar powers to his brother. So he's like, can do computer shit. He's the hacker. He's the hacker now. And he's saying no, but then Caitlyn goes all like just torturer, and she realizes that he's a drug addict and he uses something called a kick. Now, I don't know if a kick is real. Like, the only kick that I've heard of in pop culture recently is from Inception. So I don't know exactly what the kick is. Is the kick supposed to be cocaine? I don't know, you guys. I'm such a prude. Not really a prude, but I don't do drugs. I don't know drug shit. So, I don't do drugs. So sorry, I don't know drug stuff. I'm getting like really defensive. Like, somebody's here, like, like making fun of me for not knowing drug shit, but whatever. So she brings back when after he refuses to help a few times, and Marcos like isn't scaring him by threatening to like burn his eyeballs out, because he's like, dummy, like, if you burn my eyeballs out, how am I going to hack for you? Like, back up. You're not doing shit. So, but Caitlyn comes back with this drug, because she recognizes that he's a drug addict and that he's like high right now. And she brings back this drug that he recognizes called like Hydra something. It doesn't even matter what it's called. So she tells him, she says, you know what this is, right? They give like people that have had a kick this drug, and it basically makes them go into immediate withdrawal. Does anything like that really exist like in the world? Somebody tweet at me or email me or something. Tweet at me at NerdTrovertPod, or email me the introverted nerd at gmail.com and tell me, like, does something like that really exist in real life? Because so she gives him this drug, and everybody else is like Marcos and Reed are in there with her when she does this, and they're like, what the fuck is she doing? But nobody is telling her to stop. Like, they're all cool with it. Or even if they're not cool with it, they're not saying anything. They're all just standing there like, are we going to sit here while she's like torturing him? Is this okay? And they're all out in the hallway talking while she's doing this. So he goes into withdrawal. He's screaming. He starts throwing up. It's disgusting. He has like vomit all. I'm gonna dry heave right now. He has vomit all in his beard. It's disgusting. It's so gross. So he's all fucked up, and he's fucked up to the point where he can't really help them, and he's telling her like, hello, I'm going through Graf is actually kind of funny, because he's like, I'm going through withdrawal, motherfucker. Like, like, how do you expect me to help? So yeah, he's going through shit. And Clarice, Marcos, and John decide they gotta go. They get a little bit of information, and they find out that they have to go to that Reva and crew are attacking a mutant mental hospital called Linwood, or a mutant psychiatric hospital called Linwood, and it's basically a place where they lock up mutants. They fake their mental instability, that they say that they're a danger to the public, and they basically just lock them up there. Turns out Lorna was in a place like that, and they actually make a reference to Magneto, which is kind of cool. They don't mention him by name, but they say John is talking to Clarice about how she was in one of these facilities, and he says that her birth father is the one that got her out of there. So yes, Magneto. Her birth father is Magneto. I wonder, I don't think it's going to happen, but I do wonder, like, if we'll ever get like an actual like Magneto sighting. Like, even if he doesn't come in and talk, like, will we see him from a distance? Will we? I don't know. Yeah, that would be so cool if that happened, though. Probably won't, because he's in the movies and everything, and I have no idea how any of those characters would transfer to television, or whether they can transfer to television. So who the hell knows? So anyway, they go, and Lauren decides to go with them because Lauren, while she was talking to her parents earlier in the episode, she decides that the dreams that she was having, they weren't a warning. They were actually a sign that she needs to be the one that saves Andy. Now, I don't know whether Lauren just got, touched with that Strucker logic for a second. Like, I don't understand why suddenly she thinks those dreams that she's having are a sign that she needs to be the one that saves Andy. Like, I really don't understand. But Caitlin is like, really, she buys into it because she wants to see Andy. I don't even know how. I was like wondering while I was watching, like, does she really believe this? I mean, I believe that Lauren believed that, I believe that Lauren was telling the truth, that she thinks that she's the only one that can save Andy. But I wonder if Caitlin believed that, or is she just like, yes, I finally got Lauren on my side. Lauren can actually do something. Whew, sigh of relief. Lauren can save him. And if she just didn't care about anything else, because she just does crazy shit in this episode. So Lauren goes with John, Clarice, and Marcos to Linwood. And while they're at Linwood, or while they're on their way to Linwood, fucking Caitlin goes to Graf, and she, Graf is like really fucked up. He's throwing up and stuff, and she goes to him and she's like, okay, I'll give you a kick. And if I give you a kick, will you help me now? So that's what she does. And Reed is looking at her like, girl, what the fuck are you doing? Like, she just like, and he doesn't even say anything. He's just looking at her, and she's looking back at him like, yeah, I'm doing what I got to do. It's all about Andy. It's all about our family. And I guess she feels like she can justify anything by saying it's for my family. It's for my kids. I just love Andy so much. I'm a mother. And it's just like, I guess you can justify a ton of crazy shit in your own mind by saying that you're doing it for someone else, in order to help someone else or save someone else. So it's sort of like fuck Graf, he's not important. he's a drug addict. And this is basically the logic she was using when she was talking to Graf, because she's telling him, he's like, when he's yelling about, yo, I'm in withdrawal, I'm fucked up here. She's like, it's not my fault you're in withdrawal. It's your fault you're in withdrawal. And, you're the one that took drugs. And he's like, bitch, wait a second. Don't come here talking like, don't talk to me about morality and shit. Like, you're here torturing me. Like, get the fuck out of here with all that. It's like, no. And I'm like, I'm side-eyeing the shit out of her when she's trying to do this. I'm like, Caitlin, no, step down. Like, take a step back right now. You have no moral high ground to stand on. You just gave a drug addict, whatever. She almost kills him in this episode. Gives him a fucking heart attack is what she does. Like, she has zero moral high ground. I wanted to slap her in the face when she started talking to Graf like that. I mean, I got no attachment to Graf. Like, who cares about him? But I'm like, no, you don't talk to me about, how I'm a drug addict when you're just shut up, Caitlin. I fucking hate. Like, I want to be on her side. I've never wanted to be on a character's side as much as I want to be on Caitlin's side. That might be an exaggeration, but I'm just saying, I want to identify with her. I want to be on her side. And on one hand, I'm like, I totally get it. She wants to save her son. I completely get it. But just the stuff that she's doing, I just can't get on board with it. It's just so ridiculous. And now let's get to her husband. So Reed, finally, he talks to John like he told him that he was going to, and he's telling John like, yeah, remember those experiments my dad was doing, trying to suppress my powers. Surprise, it didn't work. And John is like, what? I so appreciated John in this episode because he's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you cannot tell me information. You can't give me information like this, like right before I'm about to go out on a mission. And it's like, really, Reed? You could have told him like the night before. You couldn't have had like a long conversation with John because that's what he needed. Excuse me. So he's telling John like, I need help. I need you to, help me, like, tell me what I can do. And John is telling him, like, your power's manifested. You need to learn how to train. You need to be trained to use your powers. And Reed, being a strucker, is like, no, I don't want to learn how to train. It'll take too long to train, to use my powers. I need to make this go away. I need to suppress this. And I'm like, God damn it, Reed. And John, being like a smart, intelligent person, is like, no, you need to train. You do not want to suppress your powers. In order, your powers are controlled by like really deep-seated emotion. And Reed is like, yeah, I want to learn how to control that emotion. And I'm like, no. And John is like, no, you don't want to do that. That is dangerous shit. Like, just wait and, we'll deal with this. And, Reed, says, I'll talk to you later. This is okay. But you could tell when he was saying, it's okay, go ahead on the mission, that he was going to do something stupid. And I was just like, oh, Reed, please, like, my dude, like, why are you like this? Like, he was making a good decision and then he goes left. Like, he, talking to his family early in the episode, I feel like we're on a good track. And then he's like, nope, I'm going to go over to that dead end over there. And I'm just going to drive. I'm going to drive into that dead end because that's what I do. I'm a strucker. So they, Lauren, when they get to that facility, Lauren starts talking to Marcos about how she wants to save Andy. And Marcos is telling her, like, he knows that Lauren is like the best strucker, because he tells her like, yo, I didn't tell your parents this because, you know who your parents are, but I'm going to tell you that Andy wanted to be there. he wasn't being controlled or anything. He believes in what they're doing. And he's just really real with Lauren in that moment. And Lauren got contaminated by her parents. So she's like, no, me and Andy are connected. We, she just tells him how they're connected and how he was so scared. Everybody is trying to baby Andy, and Andy is standing there like, no, bitches, I'm not a baby. I'm a teenager, and I'm going to be like an angsty teenager. So like, stop treating me like a baby. But she tells him how Andy was scared, how she remembers the night when his powers first manifested, and she needs to be with him. By the way, they are getting very like Jamie and Cersei from Game of Thrones, Andy and Lauren. It's like, it's really, especially now that he has the blonde hair, the way she talks about him, when she sees him later in the episode, or does she, is she, I forget whether she's talking to Andy or whether she's talking to Marcos when Lauren says, me and Andy have to be together. We have to be together, and I'm like, wait, what? It just sounds, or no, she says we belong together. Now, she says we belong together, and then she later, in a few sentences later, she says we're family, we belong together. But it sounds very like talking about a lover type of thing, not your brother. I don't know if that's the vibe they're trying to give off, but that's the vibe that I'm starting to get. It's starting to feel very incesty. So, and hey, I watched enough Game of Thrones to know that, give me the incest and I'll just roll with that shit. I don't think that that's what's going to happen, but that's how it feels. They feel very like Jamie and Cersei, like incesty right now. I'm uncomfortable with it. Or maybe they're like Targaryens. They are. The Targaryens were like notorious, like, incesty, like demons. So yeah, they're the Targaryens are this show right now. Both of them have like really super like platinum blonde hair right now. So yeah, Andy and Lauren Targaryen, that's who they are right now. Ugh. So they go over to they're at the facility. What's his name? Graf has the kick, and so he's like really like feeling good, getting high, helping them break into the facility. Turns out Lorna and Andy are there. Reed and Caitlin see Andy on the camera that Graf shows them. They see him on the surveillance camera, and he's in there like smiling. Like Andy is happy to be there. Like if you thought that he wasn't, standing in the facility smiling while you're breaking somebody out, that should be like clue enough that he's happy. He's happy where he's at. So they get locked out. Like Graf gets impeded somehow by somebody who's on Reva's side, and Caitlin gives him another kick. And so he's super high at this point, and she makes him overdose, and Reed recognizes his nose and shit starts bleeding. Like he's really fucked up. And then he goes into cardiac arrest and he has a heart attack. So Caitlin really fucked Graf up. Back at the facility, John and Clarice try to talk to Lorna, but she's not having it. She's got a new haircut and she's looking good. So lost all that baby weight, and she's back, and she is she's just not here to listen to them. And I actually thought that she was going to maybe stop and talk to them, but she gets that look on her face like she's going to listen, like she might be willing to listen to what John has to say, but nope. She she releases all of the inmates in the asylum, and they all get free, and they all start going wild and attacking each other. So John, instead of going after Andy and Lorna, John and Clarice are forced to stay and help all those people to, stop them from killing each other, basically. So outside because Lorna and Andy kidnap, no, or they don't kidnap, they free someone from that facility. Someone that the person that they were looking for was like in the basement of the facility. They got them out of, lock up in that basement. That's what they needed, Andy for, to break through that reinforced rock that they have. And that's who the Cuckoos are there, or at least two of the Cuckoos, Lorna and Andy, and they all bring that person out. And you can't see who it is. They're all covered by a blanket. So you don't know who it is at the end of the episode. Lauren gets in front of the Hummer. They're driving a Hummer. She tries to stop them. And Marcos is like, yo, we got to attack them. This is like, we can't play around right now. We got to attack them. And Lauren gets him to stop by saying, like, that's your kid's mother in there. We can't just, attack the car. We'll hurt them or kill them or whatever. And so, Lauren actually, she puts up her barriers and she gets them to stop, and Andy gets out of the car and she's trying to talk to Andy, telling him, about her dream and how, he looks exactly the way he looks in her dream. And, he makes a face and she figures out that he's been having the dreams too. And that's when she tells him that they belong together. Like Targaryens do. And Andy is like, no, Lauren, I'm a bad boy now. I'm wearing a leather coat and I have my Billie Jean blonde hair. So get out of the way. And he actually, they have a standoff, and Andy is just stronger and he pushes Lauren and Marcos out of the way. And Lauren is kind of fucked up. She's unconscious at the end of this episode and her head is all bleeding. So she's got some problems. And, at the Marcos calls Reed and Caitlin to tell them, like, yo, we couldn't get Andy. And Caitlin, after everything she's done, like given Graf a heart attack, made this dude overdose, all that shit. John and Marcos tell them, like, we couldn't go after Andy. We had to help these other people. And she's yelling at them, like, how could you let them get away? They were right there with you. Rah, 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 rah. Being ungrateful Caitlin, didn't even ask about Lauren. And that's when Marcos has to tell her, like, yeah, mother of the year. Sorry, I got bad news. Lauren is hurt. Andy is the one that hurt her. Now say something now, bitch. He doesn't say that, but they get off the phone. She gets off the phone with him and she's like all distraught now because she cares about Lauren for like 5 seconds. And she and Reed hug, and Reed, because Lauren is his favorite, he starts to go, his emotions get out of control and he starts to, like, his arms and shit start to heat up, and he's, he moves away from Caitlin because he's about to burn her shit up. And what Reed was doing in this episode, not listening to John, he starts taking pills. I don't know what those pills were, but he starts taking those pills in the hopes of suppressing his powers again. So yeah, that's the Reed decision that was made in this episode. God damn that guy. So, he ends the episode, unable to touch, he melts all his pills, which is kind of funny. He's like trying to get his pills out and he melts them all. And he ends up, just looking at, ends the episode looking at Caitlin like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, it's like, wait until John gets back and train, motherfucker. Like, this is not difficult. You need to train. These chuckers just don't listen. And so we'll go to Jace, because Jace is back in this episode. And he's still in, the DC area. He's trying to call Paula, his wife. and Paula won't respond to his phone calls, his text messages, or anything. He actually starts searching for marriage counselors at one point, after he gets off the phone from calling her for, the umpteenth time. And so he ends up getting a phone call from one of the cops from the police station last week, that desk cop that he talked to last week. And they meet at a diner, and the cop is a purifier. So they're basically just the KKK in mutant worlds. He's like, it's so crazy. It's wild. He's trying to sell this shit to Jace, and he's telling him like, we're not terrorists, or, we're not a hate group. We're just people that are proud of our genetics, or proud of who we are, and we're scared of mutants. Those mutants are dangerous, blah blah. Basically, whatever the KKK says about anybody that's not a white person. Insert that dialogue here. They even have, tattoos. I don't remember tattoos from last season or anything. They have tattoos, and we find out from Jace that they wear they wear the equivalent of, the KKK hoods and everything. So they're like, ooh. So Jace is like, you're like grateful. Like Jace is thankfully like, this is a step too far for him. He's like, yeah, this is just not my jam. I'm not into this shit. I'm not into being like into, a part of groups like this. Like, thanks, but no thanks. But I knew that he was going to fuck it up too. So dude gives him his phone number, and he's like, hey, call me if you change your mind. And of course Jace is going to change his mind. So he ends up talking to his wife. In this episode, Paula finally picks up, and she tells him, as soon as she picks up the phone, she tells him to stop calling her. And he's trying to explain things and tell her like, baby, I just got to do this. I'm doing this for us. And, and she's like, nope. Paula, thankfully, strong black woman, beautiful black woman, deserves so much better than she's been getting. And she's like, you know what, Jace? I loved our daughter, Grace, but I need to live my life right now. And what you are doing is not living. So I need you to not contact me anymore. I need to be over this. I need to move on with my life. And she hangs up. And so hopefully, fingers crossed, she is not taking him back. Paula, be strong, Paula. You deserve so much better than what Jace is giving you, because he's another one who I want to be on his side. But he's just, it's like, dude, give it up. Like, stop it. Please. I understand mutants, a mutant killed your daughter or was responsible for the death of your daughter. But it's like, I can't get on board with you wanting to condemn a whole entire group of people in order to avenge your daughter. Like, I'm sorry, I can't get on board. And especially not the end of this episode, because my dude is going to end up calling the Purifier guy. And he, like, Jace is becoming a Purifier. Like, he's really hardcore villain. Like, if he joins the Purifiers, he is, I don't know if he's irredeemable, but it's going to take a lot to get back to a place where he's like a sympathetic figure. So at the end of the episode, we see a newscast where, breaking news, where the staff at the Linwood facility is on TV confessing to war crimes, saying that they unlawfully detain mutants at, this Linwood facility, that they, just all the bad shit that they've done. And they're confessing just like live on TV. And this has turned into like, okay, this is going to be like hashtag mutant uprisings. Like, this is to sort of unite the mutants against everyone else. Oh, so yeah, there's going to be a mutant uprising. That's what Reva is up to. Like, this is part of her plan, like this mutant uprising. So, yeah, that shit is crazy. And this is what convinces Jace that he has to call the Purifier. So that's how we end the episode, with him taking out that number, calling that Purifier guy. And what is he going to do? Like, I really want to know what he's going to do. This shit is crazy. Like, Jace, just go home. Like, you need to actually see a psychiatrist. Like, go see a psychiatrist. Yeah, let Paula live her life, and you just go get some help, because my God, the Purifiers, really, he's just whatever. So that is the end of the episode, you guys. There's not going to be another episode for 2 weeks. I don't know what's happening next week. There's not a holiday. Is it the voting? Is that what it's going to be? I don't know what it is, but no new episode of The Gifted next week. So that's sad. But follow me on the socials anyway, and I'll live tweet the other crap that I'm watching. So I'm on Twitter at NerdTravertPod. On Instagram, I'm at The Introverted Nerd, and go to Facebook and like the Facebook page at facebook.com/The Introverted Nerd. And if you would like to send me some feedback, send it to theintrovertednerd@gmail.com. So until, I don't know, a couple weeks from now, everybody, later.